What if immortality became a curse instead of a gift? Hercules will discover the dark side of immortality by the hand of the wisest centaur. This was the fourth labor of Hercules. He had already passed through impossible challenges, but the king had a new test waiting. Eurystheus commanded Hercules to capture the Erymanthian Boar. This beast was enormous, with tusks like spears, and it ravaged the farmlands around Pholus before retreating to its mountain lair. The creature lived deep in the snow-covered peaks where survival was brutal, a realm of freezing winds where even breath turned to frost. In those harsh conditions, Hercules would not only have to survive the deadly environment, but also face this massive and powerful beast on its own territory. Hercules began his journey toward the snow-covered peaks of Mount Erymanthus, searching for the massive boar. As he traveled through the mountains, he encountered a centaur. This was the land of centaurs, creatures known for being wild, angry, and ruthless toward humans. But this centaur was completely different. His name was Pholus, and instead of attacking, he welcomed Hercules to his cave with surprising hospitality. Pholus prepared a meal for his unexpected guest. He served roasted meat to Hercules, while he himself ate his meat raw, as centaurs preferred it. The gesture was remarkable. Here was a creature showing kindness when his kind was known for violence. While sharing the meal, Hercules spotted a large jar of wine stored in the cave. "This is a gift from Dionysus himself," Folus explained. Dionysus was the god of wine, celebration, and wild festivities, one of the most powerful gods on Olympus. But it should only be opened when all the centaurs are together. But Hercules insisted, and managed to convince the hospitable centaur, who wasn't able to refuse his guest's request. So he reluctantly agreed to open the jar. Neither of them realized that this small gesture would lead to disaster. The moment Pholus opened the jar, the rich aroma of divine wine spread through the valley. The powerful scent could be detected from miles away, and it didn't take long for the other centaurs to catch it. They realized their communal wine had been opened without them, and they were furious. Within minutes, the centaurs arrived like a horde outside Pholus's cave, armed with stones and pine trees, and immediately began hurling them at the cave entrance. Hercules grabbed burning branches from the fire they had been using for cooking and pushed back the first wave of attackers with the flaming brands. Seeing the fight erupting, Pholus retreated into the cave. He didn't want to take part in this violence, as it was against his peaceful nature. The centaurs regrouped and attacked again, refusing to back down. Hercules had no choice but to grab his bow and the arrows he had dipped in the Hydra's poisonous blood to defend himself. His arrows were devastatingly effective. Each shot brought down a centaur instantly. The Hydra's venom was too deadly for any creature to survive. As Hercules pursued the fleeing centaurs, shooting his deadly arrows, he caught sight of another centaur approaching from a nearby cave. In the heat of battle, Hercules released another poisoned arrow. The shot struck true, but then Hercules saw who he had hit. It was Chiron, the wisest and most noble of all centaurs, the teacher who had educated Hercules in music, medicine, and hunting. The friend who had guided him with wisdom and kindness when others saw only a dangerous warrior. Hercules rushed to his mentor's side, devastated by what he had done. But there was nothing he could do. Chiron was immortal, the son of Cronus, which meant he could not die from the Hydra's poison. Instead, he was condemned to suffer excruciating pain for eternity. Hercules tried everything, herbs, medicine, anything to help. But nothing could ease Chiron's agony. He would live with this regret forever. Despite his pain, Chiron showed no anger toward his student, as he understood it was unintentional. After a while, he went back to his cave to endure the suffering alone. Years later, Chiron would find his escape. Realizing the pain would never end, he convinced Zeus to release Prometheus in exchange for his immortality. Prometheus had been chained to a rock in the Caucasus Mountains, where an eagle devoured his liver every day as punishment for stealing fire from the gods and giving it to humanity. It was a fitting trade, the teacher of heroes saving the divine friend of humanity who had given mankind the gift of fire. Hercules returned to Pholus's cave, only to discover another tragedy. His host was dead, killed by his own curiosity. Pholus had examined one of the poisoned arrows, wondering how such a small thing could kill powerful centaurs, and accidentally wounded himself. Hercules buried Pholus with personal respect for his friend. He had caused tragedy to two of his friends in one day. This was the true cost of war. Actions have consequences, and sometimes those consequences hurt the ones you love most. Burdened by the weight of what had happened, but unable to take back his actions, Hercules continued his search for the Erymanthian Boar. He climbed higher into the snow-covered peaks of Mount Erymanthus, following the massive tracks and broken trees that marked the beast's path through the wilderness. Finally, Hercules found the boar. The creature was enormous, its tusks like spears, steam pouring through its jaws in the freezing air. When it spotted Hercules, it roared and charged with terrifying speed. But Hercules had a different strategy in mind. He dodged the boar's charge and began driving it higher up the mountain. Each time the beast attacked, Hercules moved uphill, forcing the animal to follow him into even deeper snow. The farther they climbed, the thicker the snow became. The boar's massive size, which had been its advantage in the valleys below, now worked against it. Each step sank deeper into the snow. Each movement became slower and more exhausting. The beast struggled, but the deep snow held it like a trap. Its powerful legs couldn't find solid ground. That was the moment Hercules had been waiting for. He rushed forward and captured the exhausted boar with his bare hands. The creature was taken alive. Hercules tied up the exhausted beast. The boar had fought hard in the deep snow, sinking under its own weight with every movement until it had no strength left to resist. Hercules tied up the exhausted beast and began the journey down the mountain. The trip back to Mycenae was long, but he brought the creature alive as commanded. When he arrived outside the city gates and presented the Erymanthian Boar to King Eurystheus, the king's reaction was immediate. Fear gripped him at the sight of the massive, living beast with its deadly tusks and wild eyes. Eurystheus fled and hid inside his bronze jar, just as he had done before. He ordered Hercules to release the animal far from his kingdom. The fourth labor was complete. But this victory left a painful mark on Hercules. He had lost two good friends during this quest, Pholus and Chiron, both caught in the violence that followed a simple request for wine with dinner. Do you think they deserved such a fate? All Hercules wanted was to share a meal. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Hercules released the boar into the wilderness and returned to Mycenae. King Eurystheus was already planning the fifth labor. This time, the king would try something different. He wouldn't send Hercules to fight monsters. He would try to humiliate him by making him clean the filthiest place on earth. Subscribe to the channel to see how Hercules faces the Augean stables. Trust me, you've never heard this story told like this before.